very good chance if I made it to that vote off, I would have probably not made it through.
Let's talk about my trauma that Colton caused me.
Please don't do this. Like, you're eliminating yourself.
Hey guys, welcome back to me and Ava's podcast. Today we have two very special guests. First we have Akira 539, who you know as the hero for getting out Karim, episode 6. And then we have Colton number 359, who you might know as the guy who got Ava eliminated.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's all good, I guess.
And then first, I want to go all the way back before the show. And Akira, can you tell us a little bit about your MrBeast lore?
Where do I start? 5 years ago, I competed for $1 million, and flash forward 6, 7 more videos, I competed on Beast Games for 5 million with the largest amount of people that I've ever had to go against. And
6 or 7, wow.
Yeah, it was quite, compared to everything I've done before, Beast Games was like next level. So the fact that I got to share that experience with you guys is super incredible.
Did you have a favorite that, like, besides Beast, obviously that's your favorite because we were in it, but do you have a favorite that wasn't Beast Games?
There was one video where Jimmy put 100 people in a circle and the last to leave won 500K. That one was probably my favorite video. It took the longest to film. I was there for almost 2 weeks and I didn't even win. So you can imagine.
Gosh.
Yeah.
So wait, going into Beast Games, were you like expecting to see some of the challenges that you participated in before, or did you think that it was going to be a lot different than like a video?
I thought there was some areas where he'd probably bring things back that he's done before, whether it's like like some things are like, voting players off. We've seen that in a couple of his videos. If you had to do skill-based games, not as many as I anticipated, but a handful. And then I mainly anticipated more like endurance comps, like stuff that requires people to do stuff for large amounts of time, whether it's being buried alive for like 24 hours or if you were
whatever happened isolated.
To that. So I was mentally prepared for doing any of that stuff. I had no idea that it would be so much of a social game and then like so much luck involved as well. So
yeah,
there were some things I could anticipate, but for the most part, I was completely thrown in the loop. Like I had no idea what was going to happen, just like everyone else.
Yeah, I was expecting like more endurance-based stuff too, just because of his previous videos and stuff. So I was really mentally prepared for that. And then when it turned into a social game, like I still loved it, but it was just not what I was expecting. I mean, essentially it was a social experiment rather than
literally.
Yeah.
Did you guys on your application for the show, did you guys have the question like, are you okay with being buried alive?
Yes, and going to space.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I was like, I was always waiting to get buried, and it never came. And I was like, what's up with that?
Yeah, I wanted.
I was waiting to go to space.
That would be crazy.
Yeah.
We just got buried with trauma.
Yeah.
And the loss of all our friends.
Yeah. Buried in guilt. Okay. So moving like into the games, talking about both of you, when did you two kind of get to know each other and become close in the game?
I first met Akira in the hotels before Toronto. So I didn't really know him when we were in Vegas, but I met him in Toronto, like before we started episode 1. And we immediately kind of clicked. We both liked playing like very strategic games, so I was always trying to get him to play Blockus or like something. I was trying to keep my skills sharp for the show. So that's when I first met him, and we kind of would bounce ideas off of each other throughout the show. But as we went further, like our relationship got stronger. It's funny, I was gonna find you for the potato sack race.
Oh no.
And when I went to find you, I saw like, oh, he already has 3, whatever. Okay, it's just a potato sack race. I'll go find 2 other people. So, but I guess it kind of worked out. It worked out.
True. Yeah, that would have been tragic to go out in that way.
So you just like didn't know the 2 people you paired up with for the potato sack race?
So actually, funny enough, one guy, Misha, he competed for the island.
Mhm.
He was in the same hotel as Akira and I. And so one day when Akira didn't want to play blockers with me, and I was trying to peer pressure literally any single person to play with me, I actually ended up playing with Misha, and we
Yeah.
both played as two. It was just me and him, so we both had two colors that we had to like kind of play two players as ourselves. So I knew Misha to be like a smart, strategic player. And then the other guy, Andy, I just kind of had a conversation with him like the day before. So like I knew him, but I didn't know him super well. And I guess that kind of played in my favor a little bit for the boxes, for the cubes. Kind of depends how you look at it. Like it made it easier to say goodbye to the one player, whoever chained themselves. So it was easier to kind of let that person go, but it was harder to get to the point of someone chaining themselves because we're all like, we don't really know each other, so we don't really trust each other. We don't know what each other is good at. I was trying to convince them like, hey, let's play some Mario Kart, and they didn't know I would just.
Oh my god.
Yeah. What'd you
I'm
end
sorry.
up doing?
So we originally got in the box one guy, not Misha. I'm not gonna say who, but it wasn't Misha and it wasn't me. That's all I'm gonna say. He said, I don't know you guys. You guys. I am not doing anything, so you two can decide, or all three of us go home. And I was like, oh my god.
Mm.
So cue like 3 hours of trying to convince him to do something, and I think his anxiety was just super high. Like he was just really freaked out. We agreed on Uno, then we weren't doing Uno. Then we are gonna do Jenga, then we weren't gonna do Jenga, and we kind of went around, and eventually he decided that he wouldn't do anything to do with skill because he didn't know what we were good at. So we decided to roll a dice. Actually, hold on. We decided to roll this dice right here. I kept it. This
Oh
is
God.
my lucky dice. So
Yeah.
we each picked two numbers from the die, and whichever number it landed on, that person had to chain themselves. So as they were bringing the dice in, it fell on the floor and landed on 4. So I was like, okay, I'm picking 3 and 4. And so Misha picked 1 and 2, the other guy picked 5 and 6. They threw the dice in the air, and man, I don't think I've ever experienced something like this, but I literally saw the dice. It was spinning in the air in slow motion. I could just see the numbers moving as it was going up. I'm like, oh my god. So it lands on a 5. So Andy, he was a man of his word. Thank goodness. I was like super worried that he was just gonna be like the one guy did, like, nope, just kidding. We're all going home.
Yeah.
So it landed on 5. He chained himself. You actually hear me in the show be like, "Thank you, Andy," as we're walking out because I was just so thankful. He was a man of his word. So, hey, Andy, shouts out. Appreciate you.
Dang. Yeah, that's a crazy story. That's like an interesting way to do the dice because most people just did like whoever gets lowest is out.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's sick. Akira, we saw like part of your box story in the show as well. Is there anything like you want to talk about that people didn't see in there, or do you think it was portrayed?
You know,
I
I
think
would.
it portrayed it pretty well. We the crazy thing was like, so we intended to not play the game right away. We figured, this is our last 5 hours together as a friend group. So me, Corn, and Cody decided, we're gonna get some food, some drinks, hopefully some chairs. Chairs never came, unfortunately. And then we were just gonna play games for fun, have a good time, and then closer to the end, we'd play our game. Cody was really, really stressing about the time factor, so he was always worried that we were gonna all get eliminated. So he was really pressing for us to play sooner. But in literally like all the games we played, we would do like Go Fish, we do like War, just any game we played. It just every time that we were like shuffling out the cards and we start playing the game we're playing, he always ended up with the ace of spade. Like I'm not even kidding. It was just like anytime we would play a new game, he just happened to have it at some point. He would have it in his first hand. He'd flip a card, be like, oh, and we'd be like, like, and it was, I don't know, it just, I kept seeing it, and I think he noticed it too, and I was like, no, like, this is just a sign, like, if he does go home, it was, like, I don't know, it just seemed crazy to me how frequently he kept getting it, and then when we were actually drawing the cards, he pulled it, so I was like, I don't know, maybe it was fate, but either way, I thought that was pretty brutal.
It's like he was betting on the statistics, like being in his favor of there's no chance I can get the ace of spades again. But sometimes life just, you get chosen.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too was like he was definitely like going into the cubes. We were all willing to sacrifice for each other. We agreed, no animosity or anything like that, depending on how it went. And I know I've obviously competed in other things before, so I was totally fine with going home because at the end of the day, I've had tons of opportunities. This was their first one. Like I didn't want to take that away from either of them. So like I was totally cool with it. I accepted it. But then there's also the part of me that like I do want to like I'm a competitor at heart. I want to go as far as I can. This isn't the way I want to go, but if it is, I have two friends going on. And then for like Cody's side of it, he was always talking about I should have took that 100K when we were on the pillars. He's like, I should have took the money. I don't know why I didn't. He's like, I just love you guys too much. That's why I'm sticking around. See how far it goes, I guess. So I feel like he was teetering in and out of the game. And so I think that also kind of like just that energy kind of guided the spade towards him, sort of. So yeah. And we also made an agreement before any of us went in the cubes. Corn left for a second. And me and Cody were just walking, and he was like, it's got to be one of us, right? And I was kind of just like, yeah. So we basically made an agreement that no matter what happened in the game that we played, even if Corn was the loser of the game, she wasn't going to go home. It would be me or Cody. We just didn't know how we were going to decide that at the time.
What a gentleman.
Fortunately, it didn't come to that, but that's another thing that most people didn't see on camera.
Did Corn know that?
She didn't know about it until afterwards.
Aww.
What?
I remember when you told her. She was like, I think she felt like really honored, but like also like really sad because she was like, no, I want to play with you guys. I would chain myself. And so I think she was like, no.
Yeah. So it is good that it didn't come to that because I don't know what we would have had to do to, I mean, like, I don't know how me and Cody would have decided that at that point. I think if it was like she got up to handcuff herself, one of us probably would have, I don't know, we tackled her or body blocked her. And the other one just, but it didn't come to that. So,
tackler, get down!
Mr. President. Yeah, that's crazy.
Oh, that would have been dramatic. I feel like a lot of people, like, when you're talking about Cody and how he kept getting the ace of spades, same with Harrison 251 when they played multiple games and every single game he lost. Like, it was almost fate for him to go home. And with my cube, Patty, after she realized she was eliminated, she was like, I had a feeling the whole time that it was going to be me. Like, I don't know why. I just like knew it was going to be me. So a lot of people had those kind of moments, which is so crazy to think like it was fate, rather than just luck.
What did you guys end up playing?
We just left it up to chance. Me, Athena, and Patty were like really close. So we were like, we're going to make the most of our time. We stayed till the very last minute and then just did a game of chance. And we all just threw the cards on the ground, pulled one up, and whoever had the lowest one was out. And I got 4, Athena got 3, and Patty got 2. And so she was out.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Did you like freak out when you pulled the 4?
Yeah, because they
like,
were all in there with us. Yeah, like Klitzner and Jimmy were in there, and they made us flip it to the camera before we saw it. So we flipped it and saw their reactions, and they were like, and then I was like, yeah,
So bad.
Oh,
that's hilarious.
Closer, wow.
Yeah, that was like I was shaking so bad in that moment. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh!
Do you guys know about Ivy's though? No.
What happened to yours, Ivy?
Yeah.
We voted in mine.
Whoa, I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was kind of brutal, but I mean, I respect the guy who handcuffed himself for like accepting the vote because that's kind of a brutal moment. So good on him for respecting that. But yeah,
I think that was like a big part of it. It's like, they kind of told us before, like, hey, you can play whatever you want, but it's not like legally binding. So like you kind of have to have that honor system, that mutual trust where you couldn't just like force their hand to do it,
Yeah. No, I feel for everybody who, I don't know, who got out because someone who lost the game didn't stick to their word. Like that just sucks.
That's brutal. Brutal.
I don't think I could do that. I really don't think I could do that. Like if I lost the game, I could not stand there and be like, nope, actually we're all going home.
Yeah.
That's just crazy to me.
I think and if you guys saw it in the episode, but basically as soon as Cody flipped it, me and Corn hugged him, he got up and we're both still like in tears, like trying to collect ourselves, and he just got up and did it right away. And I was trying to tell him not to because they told us once they handcuff themselves, they're gonna stay there the rest of the 5 hours. And I was like, I don't want someone to just be left alone for hours on their own. So don't go. I was even reaching for him. I was like, Cody, 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 don't do it, don't do it. And he did it because he was worried he would have second thoughts. He didn't want to linger with it. Yeah. And then like literally right afterwards, I was like, oh, dude, we probably had so much time. And then they're like, okay, guys, you're halfway there. And I was like, dude, you're gonna be there for 2.5 hours. And luckily, he didn't actually stay the whole time. And they did bring him a chair after me and Corn left, so that was
That's nice.
cool, I guess.
I was just thinking on the phone, like, knock, knock.
Yeah, so.
I thought the same thing. That's why we waited till the last minute, because we didn't want to leave someone just sitting in there by themselves. So that's why we waited so long, but turns out they didn't actually have to wait for that whole time.
I wanted to transition a little bit into episode 2. I think, so Colton, me, and Akira were all on floor 3 for a couple.
I was on 1.
Okay. I don't know why I have my brain convinced of that. How did you do in trivia?
I think of myself as like a very a mental player. That's kind of how I prepared myself for the games. Like every morning, New York Times games. That's like my morning routine. I'm doing the mini crossword. I'm doing Wordle. I'm doing strands. I'm hitting all of them. I'm hitting connections. So that's how I like prepared for the games. Like no lie, I was always trying to like get my hands. I was trying to play like little Mario Party mini games. Like just get my strategy right, So before we pulled the coins, they said that we could trade, and I was like, I just decided whatever coin that I get, I'm sticking with it. I didn't want to mess with fate. I just wanted to go with it. And so I got the use your brain token. So I'm like, whatever it is, I think I'm just gonna stick with it. So obviously they had the patterns on the floor. We were all like, we got on it. We were trying to like, organize it. But then obviously it was trivia. So even better. I go to bar trivia like all the time. I'm like Akira loves it when I say this. I said I have approximate knowledge of many things. So I just my friends I always been pulling these weird nuggets of like facts out. So I was stoked. So going into it, I felt like all the questions were just softballs, like the iPhone question. I still can't believe they got that one wrong. Like that one was it's mind blowing to me. But when they asked us the question about Roman numerals, they gave us multiple choice X, V, L, or C. Obviously knew it was an X or V immediately. And shout out to the NFL Super Bowls. I knew that L was 50 because I'm from North Carolina, and the Panthers, they were in Super Bowl 50. But Super Bowl 50 was the only Super Bowl that they didn't use a Roman numeral because it would have just been Super Bowl L, and they didn't want like people to be given L's to the Super Bowl, so they just called it Super Bowl 50. So I knew 50 was L. So like through process of elimination, I knew it was C. So I was like, yes, we got this. And when they said X, I was like, praise me.
Wait, so for all those questions, did they give multiple choice for like all the choices?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
they
were all multiple choice. Yeah, they were all multiple choice. Now, obviously, in our round, during our trivia, those were more open ended. So I'm curious to know, like, did they originally have the questions that they used in episode 2? Did they pull those questions from episode 6? Because there's some rumors that like we were gonna do something with the patterns, and they kind of just scrapped it last minute because people were like rumored to like have been writing them down and studying them ahead of time. So
yeah, that's still a mystery to me. I really do wonder if like they just put the patterns on the ground to mess with us, or if it was actually a game. Because I remember the rumors when they were like, oh, we saw someone in their journal replicating the patterns, so then they changed the game. But I don't know.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
There's like a TV in that room.
Yes. I think there was a TV like on the opposite side, and there was like a squared off section like in front of the TV where I'm assuming they had to like describe it, the pattern on the TV, and something. I don't know. But I want to say there was a button too. I'm not 100% sure though.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I really wish I knew
Yeah, I guess
what they were meant to
we'll
do.
never know.
We'll never know.
So me and Akira cup pong one then. And Akira, did you make it? I can't remember.
Through it. I think I was accounting for wind, so I forced it a little more left than I probably should have, and it went in the cup and hit the left side and popped off. So it never
All
went
is
in.
not life.
No. But to be fair, I didn't feel pressure, I guess. Like I was like really excited for the shot. But then like Jimmy started like hyping me up and I was like, oh no, don't do this now. This is horrible. Like I don't need like we're a team. It's not just one player. So when I missed, I was kinda like, ah. But honestly, I felt like my role wasn't to even make the shot. Like the entire time I was just like, let's go, everyone. Like even when we missed, I was like, it's okay, keep the energy up. Like I was hyping people in the background. I was just keeping the energy up the whole time. I was like losing my marbles. As soon as Princess made the first shot, I went ballistic. Like I was like it was so cool.
Oh, sorry. I was going to ask you about. So you said how Jimmy was hyping you up. I remember right before we went up for 3, we were like standing in line, and I think me and you had like just become friends, like maybe like the day before or something. And so we're standing in line, and people kept going, Akira, like plot armor. And then the Beast crew was doing that too. And I remember just like association with you, they were like, you have plot armor too because you're friends with Akira. And I was, yo. So did that ever like freak you out that like they hyped you up so much? Were you ever like for like the social game, I guess, to where people might be intimidated by that? Like, did that ever get to you?
Uh, no, the plumber thing was like a running joke even since Vegas. There was
Uh-huh.
one kid that was like, "I'm on green team because Akira is, and he's got plot armor." I'm like, I don't think plot armor works for 400 people, but okay. Um, and then like anytime I was on like a big team thing, that was always something people brought up, and I was like, I don't think that's how that works, guys. Like it doesn't just spread out to everybody. It could have intimidated people. I don't know if it actually did, but like it was just funny too because like you said right when we met and we were like getting in line to go up, Jimmy also walked by and he's like, "Oh, Akira, you're on this team?" He's like, "Oh, you guys have to lose." And they're like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, because if you win, like everyone's gonna just think it's the whole show's scripted." And like you guys gotta lose, and so I'm like, oh no, Jimmy, don't say that. Like, we're gonna go play our hardest, and obviously we won. So
Right.
Akira,
I think it's more aura than anything.
Yeah.
did it affect the way that you played the game? Like people kind of knowing you before? Because for me, like part of my strategy was the anonymity of it. Am I saying that right? Anyways, being anonymous, it kind of helped my game because I could kind of like slow burn into it. Like I could kind of be the quiet, reserved guy at the beginning, non-threatening. And like the further we went into the game, the more familiar I got with people, the more like I brought my personality, sprinkled my personality in. So like if there was never a time where people were voting out threats, I didn't want to be seen as a threat. I just wanted to kind of be in the background. And so as we moved forward in the game, I kind of wanted to like bring it slowly to the forefront. So that's my question. My question is, how did people knowing you and knowing you as a beast player kind of affect your gameplay?
So originally, my game plan was not to tell like anybody. I was just gonna try to fly under the radar because in some other game shows that I've seen, like veteran players, there's two ways that it goes for them. Either they're number one target for everyone because they're a huge threat. If we get a chance to get them out early, take them out because long game, they can if they make it far, that's where they're gonna perform the best. Or sometimes just like having that status, people like respect you. If they really like you, they want to work with you.
That's how
And
it
then
was for
like
me.
you just yeah, so you kind of just can fit in most places. Ironically, Cody was the first person to recognize me, and so that was day one. That strategy went out the window. And then going forward, I didn't really. I tried to like kind of just. I mean, I'm not. You guys know I'm kind of quiet. I don't tend to like be like a big character. So for most of it, I kind of was just cool, just chilling in the back. And there was only certain times where I felt like I did have to either put myself in a role for the team or for like the money, like the bribe with the $1 million. Like Cody was like, Kira, you should go up there and like this could be your thing. Obviously, Dino was the one we ended up going with, but I didn't originally plan to do that. It was Cody that had this huge hype up speech for me, and it was really great. They didn't show that on camera. They're like, Kira, you should say a few words for yourself, and I'm like, okay. And then I obviously looked like a fool on TV. And so like I think it kind of I only heard good. I mean, it didn't sound like I had many enemies from the sounds of it. Like it sounded like I rubbed off on people pretty well. So I think long term it kind of helped. Maybe I don't know. I think if I was on the island, very good chance if I made it to that vote off, I would have probably not made it through. I don't think I would have made it through that challenge.
I don't know. A lot of people were just voting for people they didn't know, so I think you would have been fine. You were well known.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I feel like people would have been like, oh, maybe like he's done a lot of stuff, and like I want my friends to have a better chance of winning. So like he's a good competitor, so why not get rid of him now? So that was like the only challenge where I was like, I'm glad I'm not in that position because that's where I feel like my game could have ended. As much as I had good standing with a lot of people, I don't think it changed how I played the game. I kind of just rolled with it as it was. The other hard part was like I'd have so many people coming up to me to introduce themselves in Vegas or even like just in Toronto, and I tried to be as social as I could, but I obviously kept kind of close with my friends, and I would only very rarely branch out as we moved later in the rounds, just because you meet new people, you share different experiences with each other. Like even like us getting on the helicopter, Colton, I feel like that got us a little bit closer too.
Oh,
and
for
even
sure.
with Emma, because up until that point we'd like say hi,
Right.
have chats here and
I
there.
didn't even
but we
know
got-
Emma.
Yeah, I
Did
didn't know
not
Emma
even know her.
either. So yeah, I think just as the game evolved, and then even when we got to the island, a vast majority of people I've never met them once at all. Like first time meeting them in any capacity. So it was like I was always meeting new people as the games progressed.
Yeah. So going back to like your helicopter and that challenge specifically, how did it feel when you won that? And I know Akira, like, were your arms hurting? How was that experience? Is there stuff that wasn't shown in the episode? Because they didn't really show that challenge for a long time. It didn't really have a
Right.
lot of screen time.
I think my shoulder was hurting a little bit, but that was one of like the endurance challenges. I was like, if you have a chance to do something like that, you've kind of like not in the same essence, but like you put your hand on $1 million in a Lambo for 30 plus hours. So like holding a stick with a ball in it, that's like should be somewhere in your wheelhouse. Like it's only 30 minutes. A lot of people think that I cheated, obviously, because my ball barely moved. But the sugar glass, like where it's sealed up, there was like a small nub. It was like very tiny. It was like a little flat, and I noticed it right away as soon as we got the balls. And I'm like, okay, I just need to, like it's really windy. The wind was crazy that day. I just need to try and get the ball to just lay on that flat spot, and then if I can just hold it still, it won't roll around, so I won't have to struggle as much. And then I have a pretty big head, so like I put the ball really close to my head so I could block the wind. And
Smart.
and then I was looking through the sugar glass. That's why I was so close to it. I was like an inch away because I
It
was
was
looking through
crazy.
it at that little flat spot. I was just making sure that it was touching the wood so that it wouldn't roll around. And a couple times it did move.
Especially
And I
towards
did
the
it,
end.
yeah, towards the end. And there was a crack forming on one part of it. It was maybe like 2 inches long, just a little
I
crack.
didn't
So
even
I
know
was a little
that.
stressed. Yeah, I was pretty stressed because I was like, man, this thing is so fragile. Like it could just break just sitting here. There were a couple of times where I was like, Kendrick, get ready because I'm about to pass it. Like I was just like, I really don't think I can keep doing this. And then like, everyone yelling, pass the ball, like pass it. You're gonna send 3 copters home. And like I didn't want to be that guy to send 3 helicopters home. Like I know we
I
talked
was
about it
ready.
the night
I was
before,
ready to be that guy.
but I was like, I've made it this far. Someone is going to crack. I'm not going to be that person. And I just felt like everybody on my team, they put so much faith in me to do this. They trusted me to go first, and I've held it for this long. If I drop it, there goes their dreams too. And like up until that point, we never we didn't have a whole lot of control of our destinies in the game in most areas. So like I always ask myself, I want to prove that I do belong here. that I do deserve to move forward, and this is an opportunity that I kind of showcase those skills that I have displayed in the past. So it was really, really like I was so emotional afterwards. It was really, really fulfilling to be able to, you know, feel like I proved myself a little bit, but then also take my friends along with me. Like that was really, really cool for me. So yeah.
Yeah, that's
You know what's
awesome.
interesting? I remember when you were balancing it on the little indentation. I remember. I didn't want to point this out to anyone because, you know, I remember producer like cameramen like kind of calling clits over, and they were like pointing at the camera like the shot, and I could see them like zooming in on you, and they're showing like how like yours was perfectly still, and I was like, oh god, and I was keeping an eye on it, and I could just see them going just like it's luck of the draw, like they were just shrugging their shoulders like no, it's fair, it could have gone to anyone, and I think maybe other balls had that as well, and people just didn't notice, but I mean I think my one of my favorite moments was just watching Akira just absolutely go to work on this thing. Like he was a I don't know, like a monk, like a Shaolin monk, just staring this thing into submission. It was so impressive. Before the challenge started, we're like, hey, let's wait 5 or 10 minutes before we start passing. And like we'll let some people fall out first, and then kind of once the numbers dwindle down, then we'll start passing. As the game started, people started falling. So we kind of just adapted. Immediately we're like, let's just not pass it. We believed in Akira, and we saw like that he was just killing it. And obviously, like as the temperature rose and people started screaming, don't let these 3 helicopters go home. Don't be selfish. I'm just like, I we have to be selfish in this moment. We have to put the pressure on the other teams. And I remember making eye contact with Nelly, like across the field. He was in Jamal's group, and that's when he was going all over the place trying to hold his. But I remember making eye contact with him, and we both were just like, mm-mm, we're not moving. You're not moving? Okay, we're not moving. And so it was just like, it's something that's always stuck in my head. It was so funny, but we wanted to put the pressure on other people, and obviously that one team decided to go for it. I actually paused it to see how much time was on it when they dropped, and it was like 30 seconds left. I was like, there was not enough time for them to go all the way back to the front with that little amount of time. So thank goodness that there wasn't 3 helicopters that went empty, because those other challenges I think those were tough, and I don't know. I don't know if I would have made it, but in Akira we trust. We got the plot armor, because I didn't get him in the cubes. People were asking me like, "Hey, do you want to be in my group?" Because we were making groups and we didn't know what the game was. I was like, "No, I know who I'm going to be with." They said, "Go choose your team." I beelined it to Akira, and I'm like, "I'm in your group this time. I don't care what happens. If we have to go home, that's fine. But I'm being with you this time."
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way with because I got on helicopter 3, so watching all the other challenges, I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know if I would have made it through. Like, if I didn't win that challenge, I don't know. So it's scary. Ivy lived through it all, so she's got stories to tell
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh man, that last game when you're just like, I'm 6. Oh my god! And you just book it.
I'm
It
so
was so bad.
grateful.
Yeah, and then just be crying in the background of the rest of the shot.
Oh, yeah.
So now at this point, I've already gone to the island. Did y'all think about going for the island? So Akira, it sounds like you did, based on the fact that the voting one was the first one to make you regret it. Colton, what about you? Did you think about going?
I thought about it for a little bit. I'm like, I love the show Survivor. Like I watched it when I was a kid, and then I kind of forgot about it, forgot it existed. COVID hit, quarantine. That was like one of my shows that I just like watched every single season. I love Survivor, and now I watch it when it comes on every Wednesday. Or yeah, I think it's Wednesdays.
Yeah.
I watch it every week. I love it. So we got on the island. People were like, "Oh my god, swimming pool! Oh my god, they got a PlayStation." I'm like, they got fake trees with like little pine straw. I'm lifting up the pine straw. I'm looking for clues, advantages. I'm like, I'm in Survivor mode. I'm going. But honestly, it just came down to math and like my chances. Like, so in my head, I was like, okay, 1.8 million million, 9 people. That's 200,000. Or for the 5 million, for 5 million divided by 51 people, that's almost 100,000. It's like 96, 97,000. So it just became a math problem and probability. It's like, do I want to double my chances and go for the island, or kind of take a more of a risky chance but a higher payoff? And I had a fake $5 million check in my pocket the whole competition. So anytime we were bribed, anytime anything came up, I would pull that thing out and be like, this is why I'm here. So every morning I would talk to the $5 million stack and say, good morning, beautiful. How you doing? Can't wait to see you outside the island. Like, I was talking to this. I was talking her up every day. Every day. You need anything? I'll pick you some flowers today. So I really wanted to go for the 1.8, and I feel like I would have had a pretty good shot at it. I'm a pretty strategic person, but I knew whoever was coming off, they're gonna have a target on their back because they had $1.8 million in the bank. And again, I wanted the 5 million, but the further we got into the game and the more real it became, I think the money it meant less to me. I wanted to be known as the champion of 2,000 people. I wanted to be known as that's the guy that was faster, stronger, smarter. I wanted to be like, this is the first winner of Beast Games. That's what I wanted.
That's so good. Yeah.
I had that type of mentality too. Like, obviously, yeah, I want the money, but we all know in the games, money was so distorted in our brains. Like 500K,
Right.
Nothing. Like, don't want that. But it's kind of like comparing it to like The Challenge, another reality show. You just want to be known as a champion. Like, if I went on that show, I just want to be a champion. I don't care about the money. I would literally do it for free. Like, it's just having that type of mentality of like just wanting to be.
Put it on your
number
resume.
one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. So moving into episode 6, where some of us got eliminated, some of us took some people out, unfortunately. So let's fast forward to Akira, since he was actually the first out of us 4 to go. Going into your question, when did you know like you were gonna go after Karim? Like, when did you have that set in your mind that you were gonna pick him?
So obviously, as you know, I even go back to the island just a quick sec. We were all offered the chance to compete. I was on the fence about it. I was like, you're about to do like so many sick mini games. This is challenge heavy, whatever you're gonna do. This will be really cool, but you're gonna leave your friends and there's a risk you don't come back. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. Still don't I don't know who's gonna compete, what my chances are. And then as soon as the first helicopter all said no, I knew based on what I had heard from everybody and like all the rumors about them, and then like my first impression with them, I was like, no, that's a sign. You want to get rid of those players, you're going to lose out on that chance if you go for this island. So I said no, and I said, I've got unfinished business. And fast forward to our mental challenge. I was actually deciding between mental and physical. A lot of people thought I'd go physical, and again, I was on the fence. I'm like, I don't know what my head's telling me. Like, I can't decide on one or the other. And then I saw Karim, Hazem, and Z go to mental. So as I saw that, I'm like, it's on the plate right there. It's a chance to maybe go against one of them or play against them on a team thing. I don't know. So I chose mental. Everything played out with the IQ test, and I felt a little bad. But when Z was the last place on the IQ, I told myself, okay, that's 1 out of 3. Like, that's one of their group members that's gone, and that's just the 2 brothers. And then when Hazem stepped up, I was like, he could pick me, he could not pick me. I don't know where I stand with him, but I'm 2 people away from him. He might not want to risk it. Obviously, he went for Queen. She got the question right. He went down, and I told myself, that's 2 out of 3. And then Queen was celebrating. She pointed over it towards me and Tawana, and she was like, you know what to do. And I was like, I have to. It's all lining up perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
This is your chance to just take one shot. That's all you need, just one.
You only got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow.
Yeah, because T was asking me, Tawana was asking me who I was going for. I told her immediately, like, I know what I'm going for now. And she was like, already? And she's like, do I want to know? And I was like, it's it's someone you know. I was like, I told her the number. She looked back. She's
Someone.
like, oh, and so she didn't pick him, obviously. And then I just had to lay it all out there so that he knew why I was calling him out, because apparently he had no clue. He was fully convinced before the game that we were going to do some team thing. He wanted strong competitors on his team. He had JC come up and ask me, like, hey, Kareem wants me on his team for this thing if we do teams.
Remember that? I forgot about that.
And he said he wanted me to come talk to you because he wants you on his team, because he knows you're a good competitor. He knows you're smart. You can do it all. But you're not as close to him. So he wanted me to come talk to you. And I was like, oh, that's really good to know. Means he has no idea what's going to happen then. So yeah, then I called him up. In that moment, I just kind of felt like, this is it. You've been telling yourself this the entire time you're on vacation. If you get an opportunity to try and, take care of business, this is it. And if you go home, at least you tried, right?
Right.
And obviously, the categories were on display after every round. I saw sports on like the first round. I was like, if sports stays till I get there, that's what I'm picking. I'm most knowledgeable about sports. I started to tell myself, like most sports trivia is always like, who won the most of this sport? So I just started rattling off the different teams, how many times they won, just to prepare myself as much as I could. And yeah, obviously you guys saw what happened.
Yeah.
Did you want to run it back? Were you trying to run it back?
Run it back.
So at first I knew the answer as soon as he said with 18.
Oh, I did
I
too.
just heard 18. I knew exactly what the answer was, but I was like, I'm gonna let Jimmy finish just so I can make sure that I know what the question is.
Right.
He obviously buzzed in quick, and I was like, he got it first. Fair play. He gets this right, I go home. Props to him. And when he blew it, I was like, as soon as he said that, I grinned and I just shook my head. I was like, you're cooked, buddy. Sorry.
Me and Colton were going.
Did that shot? I was like, nope.
Yeah.
They got 17, not 18.
So I watched. Yeah. So I was just waiting for Jimmy to finish the question, obviously, and buzzed right in. The answer, and then I know he brought the bribe up, and like confidence was at a high right there. So there was definitely like a little temptation. You're like, he had no idea what this question was. You could get 50K and you can get it out, but also like you just did exactly what you wanted to do. You've pretty much eliminated him. You're guaranteed to go on. Just say no to the money. It's not.
Right.
That's why I told people like I said I wasn't here for the money. That kind of goes back to what Colton and Ava said. Like I've won money in the past YouTube videos. I'm totally fine. I don't need that much money to even to do Beast games. But being the champion of Beast games, like to add that to your resume was peak. And so I was like, nah, I don't. Like I said no to so much money already. Like 50K is nothing. I don't need it. And obviously Kareem really wanted me to take it. He was like 2 out of 3. I'm like, there's no 2 out of 3. This is if you get it right, I'm gone.
Dude, he wanted you to do that so bad.
He kept repeating, "Run it back,
no second chance.
Run it back." The edit was so funny. I'm not gonna lie, like intense, but that was funny.
Yeah. But it was definitely tense in the moment too.
Oh yeah, like
Crazy.
Because we didn't know that was coming. So when you started saying what you said, we were all like, no way. Yeah. It was crazy. And
I was like, I knew that Akira, like, these feelings, I wasn't so sure of the extent of these feelings. So when he picked Kareem, I was like, all right, I see what's going on. But then he had his little speech, and I think I had the same reaction as everyone else. I was like, damn, that was so cool. I think everyone that was there, was like, whoa, that is like some boss move shit, dude. That was so cool to watch. I loved it. And I think you gained the respect, I think, of all the players in the room, outside the room, and other challenges, I think everyone was like, "Yo, Akira, I think you definitely raised your level of not just competitiveness, but like of status in the game." And I think we're seeing a lot of that online these days. I'm already seeing Akira edits on TikTok. This episode's been out for like 2 days, and like you'll see like my arm. I'm like, damn it, I didn't make the cut this time. Some of you'll like see like half of my face. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's me. I made it. I made it onto TikTok with 60,000 likes.
Colton,
That's
wait, it's so funny because
That's
one of
awesome.
my friends sent me a TikTok of like that moment, and me and you are like the first shot, and he was like, "Yo, you're in this." I was like, "Yeah, that's me." Oh, it's so funny seeing like your face just randomly pop up on social media.
Right, honestly.
Yeah. So it's funny, Akira, because we recently talked to Kareem, and so I didn't know personally that he had no idea that so many people were against him. Because we all knew about the cube, like literally right after it happened.
Yeah,
So it
yeah.
was
Mhm.
like in my head, they knew that, but he had no idea until the moment you said all the stuff in trivia. So that was like a whoa moment for him too. And he when we talked to him, he said, "Did you guys have conversations after the games?" I'm pretty sure he said that you guys are like chill now, right?
Yeah, yeah. So like in any reality show, like there's gonna be beef between people on camera, and those are high pressure, really intense, full of emotion, and rumor mill can spin it however you want, and if you don't fact check everything, it can really just manifest into something. And like we talked afterwards. He gave me his side of the story, and I was kind of like, man, I feel. At first I said I felt bad because I obviously didn't talk to them about the cubes, and I was like, it wasn't like I hate you guys. It's just like I heard this, and I didn't even have beef with Kareem at first. It was Hazem. Hazem lied to me when I first met him, and I was like, that's a red flag. Like I heard all this shady stuff about your cubes, and then you come and introduce yourself, and then you lie about how we met. And I was like, why would you lie as soon as I meet you? There was no reason for that. Like we could have been cool. They were really chill on the island. Great time, great vibes. But I was like, how much of this is real? How much of this is like you're trying to make save face? So I literally told Kareem, I was like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't even like you that started it. It was like Chasm. Chasm lied. And I told him like what happened, and he kind of like looked at his brother like, you did what? And then, so we are cool, at the end of the day, it is a game.
Kind of
And
compartmentalize it.
Yep.
yeah, a little bit. In the moment, everything I felt was real, and at the end of the day, it's part of the game. No matter how you play it, because I know there's people that are cutthroat, and you get blood on your hands, and that's how you win sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with it, obviously, but it's not how some people want to play, and it's just not how I felt that the winner of $5 million should. It didn't sit right with me. So we did talk after watching the episode back. I'm cool with him still, but like also I'm like some of what you told me didn't seem like it was true. Like what I saw on camera in the edit, like the manipulation and stuff, like that was stuff that seemed like it actually happened. That was true, and even Hazem's reaction to everything, like laughing at her crying and stuff. I was like that. That's why I did what I did. Like I get your gameplay. It was smart how you did it, but also like that is why I did it. Whether we made up for it afterwards or not, it's for that particular instance that everything happened the way it did.
Right, yeah.
So
Will you go to a LA Lakers Boston Celtics game with him?
yeah, if he wants to, if he really wanted to, if he really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, in the game especially, everything's so intense. Like everything is 100 times more dramatic than it would be in real
Mhm.
life. So, it was valid reasoning going in and doing what you did. I mean, even before we went into trivia or even picking like physical, mental, or strength, I remember I was doing an interview and they're like, so if you're in the same challenge as the Habibi squad and it was teams, like would you want to be on their team or would you want to be against them? And I was like, honestly, I would want to be against them to take them out. So everyone had that mindset in the game. So it's
Mhm.
not like it was just you specifically that had like
Yeah.
bad vibes with them. It was, pretty much everyone and Patrick
Mhm.
in the episode. So it was a heavy focus. And that was really, once we grabbed onto that, that was the one thing where everyone was like, okay, so they're enemy number one. And no one else really had like quote unquote hatred towards them, I would say. Like, do you guys feel like there were
Mhm.
any other villains or people that we were against?
No, like I feel like the show has kind of portrayed Jeremy and Daphne very negatively, and I felt like when we were there, I don't really remember those feelings being as pertinent with people, but I do remember the Habibi distaste around, the kind of discourse around specifically what they did in the cubes. And, just kind of peel the curtain back, the physical challenge, they went the first night after we all chose, we had to wait like a whole 24 hours to do our mental challenge. And so kind of what Akira was saying, he approached me like right before we went and was like, "Hey man, trying to get an alliance together. Like I want like you and Akira to be with me." And like, I knew how Akira felt, I know how I felt. So I kind of was just like, "Yeah, I just kind of danced around the topic a little bit, told him what he wanted to hear. So sorry, Kareem. But anyways, didn't end up even mattering. But sometimes you gotta play the game. And that's what it is. It's a
Yeah.
game in the end. And you
Yeah.
know, I think some people, have a little harder time of letting go of the emotions of the game, but you have to realize that everyone's there for the same goal. And I mean, like they told us, 999 people got to go home. Only one can be the real winner. So you really do have to compartmentalize those feelings. And, once you're on that plane home, you kind of have to you got to let it go. You got to release it. It's not healthy to hold on to it. So
Yeah.
that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sometimes I have a hard time. Like sometimes I get flashbacks. I'm like, if I would have just done that instead of this, then my whole game would have been
Right.
different. But it's like you can't think like that because then I spiral. I'm like, I should have done that. But it's whatever. So
Like, did you ever have dreams about either things you wish you had done differently in the game or whatever? Because for like a solid month, every dream I had, it was me hitting the button in trivia. Like literally.
Oh my
And
God.
I was like, yeah. So did y'all have that experience?
For weeks after the games, I was having very vivid dreams, but they were all like different games. So it's like, oh, like I remember one dream was like some sort of like frisbee challenge, and we had to like run and jump and catch a frisbee and throw it or something like that. So it's like during the games and for weeks after, it was always challenges. Eventually they kind of wore off. Sometimes I'll get like a war flashback, like I'm just shopping and I hear like a like never mind.
yeah, wait on that. So let's talk about my trauma for a second that Colton caused me.
Yep.
So, our elimination wasn't shown, obviously, but we were the last two people to go before Corn and Emma. Colton had the opportunity to choose. Do you want to tell that story of how you chose and,
Yeah. So, obviously I think what made me one of the final deciders, because for most of the quiz game, it was the person at the front of the line picking one of the people at the end of the line because they wanted to make their odds the best. Now, was that a good strategy? Does like those questions that we had to take on that IQ test, does that translate to quiz knowledge? Maybe not. And that kind of played into my decision making as well. So Tawana picked Annie. Okay, Tawana picked Annie. So I was like right after the halfway point, and they were both ahead of me. So that pushed the decision makers down one. So that kind of left me with one of the final decisions. So I remember there was three topics. It was spelling, it was pop culture, was it geography? I don't remember
I
the
think it
third one.
was
But anyways,
literature.
literature. Okay. Whatever it was, I know literature, spelling, not my thing. I'm a big pop culture guy. I love, movies, TV, whatever it may be. I'm chronically online for my whole life. So I was like, okay, pop culture, and everyone was passing it up. I think it might have even gone on the board after Akira finished. I think I might have caught it in the show. I think after sports went away, I think pop culture might have come up. I'm not 100% sure. So I knew I wanted to go pop culture. So there were a couple reasons why I decided to go for you, Ava. So one of the reasons obviously was Ford and Emma, they were in my helicopter. I couldn't get myself to eliminate them, but also I wanted friends and allies later in the game. So I knew there was a chance of me beating who if I chose Emma or Corn, I would beat them, obviously. No, I'm just kidding. I would beat them. There's a chance of me beating them and then you beating whoever the other person was. So that would reduce my kind of alliance numbers later in the game. So I was like, if I put them head to head, at least one of them will come out. But also, I know Corn and Emma, just like they seem like very pop culture people. And I know Ava, you're a very outdoors person. So I was like, maybe the outdoorsy girl doesn't know as much about pop culture. So kind of all those factors kind of led me into choosing you.
Hey, I mean, you were right. So I expected you to choose me. I mean, especially after Jimmy said, "Oh, why don't you have the two best friends go against each other?" Like as in Corn and Emma. So I was like, okay, so I kind of I know I'm going up. And then when you chose pop culture, I was like, okay, like I'm online a lot, but I don't think I'm gonna do too well at that. Like I'm not big on celebrities and keeping up with celebrities. So
Right.
when you chose that, I remember I was like, oh, and Jimmy was like, are you not? You don't know pop culture? I was like, I don't think so. Like, and then yeah, so we got into our questions. First question: what car brand has the Spirit of Ecstasy logo? Akira Ivy, do you know it?
Uh, I literally saw a Colton post about it the other day. I don't remember it. I don't remember.
All right, so I guess okay, hold on, let me go back a little bit. So my strategy of the questions, I wanted to be the first person to hit it because there's no penalty. You kind of would just get cut off on the question. So my kind of strategy was I want to be in control. I want to answer first. Even if I answer wrong, I want to go down swinging. So we ended up just getting a little ahead of myself. We ended up getting 3 questions. I think I cut them off all 3 times. I just wanted to, I needed to be first. I'm sorry, Ava. I just didn't want to give you the opportunity to beat me out and me go home with just with the answer like on the tip of my tongue. So I always wanted to hit it first. So the first question, I guessed Mustang, and I was like, could be Jaguar, could be Mustang. Those are like, very flowy. I think I want to say he specifically said hood ornament, like what hood ornament is named this. And so that kind of made me think, okay, the running horse, the jumping jaguar type of thing, those kind of like have that like ecstasy, the freeing, the emotion into it. So I was like, okay, Mustang, that's what I'm going to guess. Incorrect. And I was like, shit.
And then it went to
And
me.
so then it went to you.
I was like, dude, I don't know. I'm pretty sure I threw out Lambo like at the last second. He was like, no.
I think he was like running low on time, and I was like,
Yeah,
done.
yeah. And then I remember, and then he told us it's Rolls Royce.
I was like,
yeah, and I was like, first of
no
all,
idea.
why is that pop culture? Second of all, like, I don't have that type of money, Jimmy. I don't know why I would know that. And he was like, well, I don't have that type of money either. And I was like, and then he was like, wait,
Yes,
I kind of do. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, catch yourself on that.
Actually,
yeah. So that one we didn't know. Second one was in December of 2022, what was the most liked photo on Instagram? Didn't know that.
so
You go, Colton.
again, I smashed that button. I don't even remember him saying December 22. I was just so focused on keeping my. I remember at one point he was like, "Oh, you're looking a little nervous. Are you?" To you, and you're like, you're holding your hand above the button, and you're like a little shaky. And he was like, "What about you?" And I'm like,
yeah, you're locked in.
Yeah. So he asked the question about the Instagram post with the most likes. And so I thought, okay, gotta be a Jenner. And I'm like, what's her name? And I'm like, Kylie, Kendra, what's her name? And so I was like, okay, Kylie Jenner. Because I feel like I remember her having the most like post. So I said Kylie Jenner. Incorrect. And then it went to you.
Yep, and I said the egg. I said like the world record egg.
Right?
Dude, that is a
When you
valid
said that,
answer.
it is so valid. And looking back, so it's gone. It went from Kylie Jenner, and the egg took the record from her. You said that, and it snapped for me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm eliminated. I'm gone. That's it. It's the egg.
I really thought it was
wasn't.
too. And then
Dude, I was like, you got it.
when I said that, Jimmy laughed at me. I was like, why are you laughing? Like, why is that not right? And he was like, oh, well, actually, that was the most liked photo before this one. And I was like, no, dude. That pissed me off so bad. Yeah, so it's Messi playing chess. Would have never gotten that. I did not know that.
With
Whatever.
Ronaldo.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a sports. When he said that, I'm like, should have known that. Like, I did know it, but, you know, when the lights are on you, the camera's on you, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah. So now we get to the final question, which was, what was the first video on YouTube to hit 100 billion views? Colton again beats me.
I knew it immediately.
So did I, Colton.
1 billion YouTube. I smashed that button, and I still don't know to this day. I said Gangnam Style. Some people is like, no, it's Gangnam Style. I don't know, but I said Gangnam Style. He said, gave me that little smirk. He said, that is correct, and I was like, like, you know, I felt like I was flashbanged. Everything just went white.
Dude, as soon as she said Gangnam Style, I went like this. Because I knew it. Like, I knew that was it. And that's what pisses me off so much more and, like, makes me regret it. Because the fact, if I didn't know the answer, yeah, maybe I would feel a little bit better about myself. But the fact that I knew it and you beat me to the buzzer, like, oh, it's just so frustrating. But, yeah.
And then they offered me the 50K. And, you know, it's so easy to look back and be like, you know, I kind of wish I took it, but in that moment, well, they only show for Akira, so there's a little misunderstanding. Akira, after the first, Akira, you were the fourth person, correct?
Yeah, they said round 4 onwards, there would be a prize.
So they gave us a piece of paper with all the rules on it. We had to read through the rules, hit all the legalese on it, and we had to sign it. And that was in the rules that after the third round, so starting with the fourth person, they would offer us 50K to run that back. So he offered me the 50K, and first, I don't even want to say I considered it because getting the 2 questions wrong, it really freaked me out. I didn't want to get in a position where I didn't know an answer and you did. And you know, I had a solid position. So, you know, 50K is nice, but when you're going for 5 million, like I said, I think, you know, the strategy has just got to be play it safe. You got to play it safe. You got to take the guaranteed position. And I think that goes for the island. This goes for this. He wants you to take that money so that, you know, you can take it and then fall on your face a second later, because that makes some good TV. That's good entertainment. But you got to play it smart. You got to play it safe. And so ultimately I said no. And I Gangnam Style down that little staircase, and I gave Miss Ava a hug. I did feel bad, but you know, it was.
I mean,
it was tough. You know,
yeah, it is what it is. And like, if I was in your position, I would have went for the 50K either. You know, I'm going to secure my spot in top 25, and you know, it's also like, after I was eliminated, I said GG's, you know, said bye to you, said bye to Corn and Emma. And that's when I started crying, like hugging Corn and Emma, because I was just like, that's when I got emotional. But then I was like, I gotta pull it together. I'm not crying anymore. So then on the platform, just staying there, like, ready to drop, ready to go. And, you know,
were you hoping that I was going to take the 50K? I mean, obviously, yes, but.
Yeah, like looking back,
Did you think I was going to?
No. But I was like, looking back, I wish I tried to convince you to. I wish I was more like, dude, like, just do it. Just think about it for a second. Like, we're the second
Run
to
that
last
back.
people. Like, we
Run
have to
that
do
back.
it. Yeah, but I wouldn't have done either. So it is what it is. I wasn't butthurt by getting out by Colton. It's just how things ended up at the end. And honestly, it really sucks for Emma and Corn ultimately going last and against each other. So
Yeah, I felt bad putting them in the position, but
it is what it
gotta play the
is.
game.
It is what
Gotta
it
play
is.
the game to change the game.
Yeah.
So now you two do the next round. Could you tell us a little bit about your experience at all?
Oh man. So we get back to the city after we've taken the quiz, and it is quiet in the city. It was eerie. You thought it was weird with 50 people in the city. It was, what do we have, 22, correct?
21.
21 people in the city. It was weird. I'm like almost getting chills thinking about it. It was so weird, so bizarre, very eerie. Everyone could like sit together at like two tables at a meal. It was really weird. So we kind of the word gets out that Akira had this badass moment of telling Karim off. And so people are like, people's respect for Akira is like at an all-time high. And actually one of like the most touching moments I think of the whole game for me. I still think about it. I almost got choked up thinking about it. It's me and Akira. We're sitting I think it was the night before we go to the train. He sits me down and he's like, "Hey man, I don't think I'm here to win the 5 million. I think I'm here to help someone win the 5 million, and I think that person is you." And I was like, "Oh my god, dude, like that is like so real." Like I was like I almost wanted to tell him no. I'm like, dude, if it's me and you in the final, like I want to compete against you like fair and square. But like I felt like so honored, like, like wow, this dude is so real, such a great friend. Like, I just felt so happy to like just meet someone with just such high character. And like, man, I was so happy, so blessed. And then they hood us up. And I'll let you take it from a little bit from your perspective here, Akira.
So yeah, we were at the city, and then they had actually, before they hooded us up, they brought out these surveys for us to take, and they basically told us on these surveys you're gonna see pictures of every player that's left. You're gonna rank each other from who you most want to win to least, and you'll do it by numbers, so like 1 to 21. And then on the back of it, it had like a bunch of random questions, some good, some bad, like is most likely to become a villain, or like who do you think is the most two-faced, who do you think deserves the money the most, who do you want to see win, who do you want to work with, things like that. And we're all like in my head, I'm like, I don't have any hate towards any of these people. We got the villains out. Like there's no, like everyone here deserves to win. I don't
Right.
have. But then like when I was ranking people, I was like, okay, how do I want to do this? So I did it based on who I wanted most to win, who I had friends left in the game that I wanted to win. So I put all of them ahead of myself. I had people I'd worked with in the game that I like, the Avengers. Some of them I'd like, okay, I've worked with them. We've been cool. And then just as I went down the line, I'm like, do I know these people? Do I not know these people? How well have I connected with them? I don't want to be that guy, but also I'm like, I don't know how to gauge who I feel deserves it more just based on what I know about them. And then obviously I put Mia at 21. No hate to her. I respect the hell out of her. She's a fierce competitor. And, I just felt like she won the island. If she goes home, she's going to be fine. Like I didn't think she was going to have any problems with it. And I feel like she had to know that her winning the island had put her like target in the game, like like everyone had her on there, even if they were friends with her. Like she won the island, she's threat number one almost. So we all did that. They hooded us up. They took us to the train,
2 hours.
and they brought us. Yeah, it was a long drive.
2-hour bus ride.
Brutal.
And I don't remember if we were handcuffed. No, we weren't handcuffed. We were hooded, and we had our hands on each other's shoulders, and they walked us to the train, and then they lined us up, and then they pulled the blindfolds off, and they're like, "Welcome to the elimination train." And we just see this massive black and red train that just
That was
looks
cool,
menacing.
And then
It was
there's
really sick.
something on the track.
Oh yeah, so there was something covered. It was in the shape of a vehicle, a car, if you will. Looked very much like a Lamborghini, which we didn't know about until after they uncovered it. My God, yeah. And they had dummies for each player with their jersey number on it,
Hmm.
and they had them all lined up, and we were like, "What is this?" And Jimmy said, "You know, we're gonna get down to the top 10 today in this challenge alone."
So
So
Oh.
they ask us to pick a captain. Now, did they give us time to talk about it first, or did they just kind of? Because I remember talking to people when we were picking the second captain, but for the second round, I mean, but for the first round, did we get time to talk about it?
we we kind of like I'm trying to think back to it too because I feel like they explained that was what's going to happen, and then I think they meant to tell us like you can nominate yourself or you can be
Right,
nominated, but you have to like accept the nomination.
right.
I think I just remember we were like, yeah, I think we like kind of had like a quick discussion, but they jumped right into the first round pretty
Mm.
quickly.
So I
And
remember because of the Kareem thing, because your respect was so high, there was an overwhelming sense that people trusted you, people wanted you there, and kind of selfishly, I knew I was at the top of your list, so I knew I was going to be okay no matter what happened. So I am pushing for you hard to be a captain. So I'm like, hey guys, let's go for Akira. So ultimately, you are voted in. I think it was pretty much unanimous the first round, right?
yeah, the only other person that I noticed step up like they wanted to was Dino, but I think because he heard everyone else saying put Akira up that he
Right.
decided to not. But I did. He was the only one that I saw that motion to like kind of go up there. Maybe just because he'd done it before, or maybe he was wanting to be in power. I'm not sure.
And then the first round happened.
Yeah, so they had me go up on top of the. It's like a little like podium that hangs over the tracks, and Jimmy says, "All right, we're gonna start with round one," and he's like, "Guys, we have something on the track. Let's show them what it is." And he uncovers it, and it's a Lamborghini, a yellow Lamborghini. And then
It was
Jimmy says,
nice.
it was really nice. And then Jimmy says, congrats, Akira. You just won a brand new Lamborghini. This is yours. And I was like, huh? What? And I was kind of like, that's a little surreal, but very cool. And then he's like, and now I want you to pick your three least favorite players from the other team, and they're going to go on the other side of the track. And so it's not an easy decision, but I knew I had three people at the bottom of my list. So I called them up and I said, Mia, and I said, Monique, and Kia. And ultimately, like, Mia was target number one. You know, if I wanted my friends to have the best chance of winning, take out the person that won the island, they're the biggest threat in the game, and out of respect for them, like, they've already won that island, so getting them out, it's not the biggest hurt for them. Moniz and Kia, I had like maybe one conversation with them, like Moniz once on the island, and then Kia just after the mental challenge in the city. But I just didn't know them, so I was like, I don't. It's not that you're my least favorite. I just have other people that I would want to win because I know them better. And then Jimmy said, "Okay, Kara, you're gonna have a minute, and we're gonna send the elimination train. It's like 100, or it's like 1,000 yards down there. We're
Hmm.
gonna send the train towards the track or towards your direction, and you have two options. You can choose to destroy the Lamborghini that you just won and save the other three players that you just nominated for elimination, or you can switch the lever to protect your Lamborghini and eliminate those three players, and they go home, no strings attached." So it's a bit of a problem because I just said no to like 50K to get rid of someone. Now I'm having to choose between, do I take this bribe, if you will, and get rid of people, or do I save these people and get rid of this thing? And I also knew, like, at that point, as soon as I did that, I was like, I'm probably going to get blood on my hands. I've been saying that my focus isn't to win now because I don't think I have a chance. I think someone else does. So even if it puts a bigger target on my back and gets me out, this is a chance to get your friends further in the game. So it tore me apart.
I felt so bad. From the bottom, people were shouting up to you like, "Hey, man, we support you, whatever you decide." I just remember, well, because they told us, "Hey, if you don't eliminate these people, we're gonna keep doing these rounds until we get to 10 people. So if you decide to save these 3 people, we're still at 21." So my point of view was like, hey man, I know this is tough. And I was like, dude, people have to go eventually. And I think that really hurt the feelings of the people that were on there, Moniece and Kia and what's her
Mia.
name?
Mia.
Mia, thank you. Kia, Mia, and Moniece. I think they were really hurt by that. When they were ultimately eliminated, they like told me to get out of their face. I still haven't talked to them, so hey man, I'm sorry for y'all. I was just in game mode, so like there's no hard feelings. But it was a really tough position to be in, and I know that position, that decision. I could see how much like that really hurt Akira, and I felt like so bad for him. I mean, he was like bawling. Like I know he felt like it was a really heavy mood. For everyone, I just wanted to like pick him up and give him a big hug and tell him it's okay, and hey man, go dry your tears in your Lamborghini. But it's not so cut and dry. Like it was tough. And then what, did we get lunch at that point, or did we do another round?
Yeah, so
No, I think we got lunch.
yeah, we got lunch, and in the process of that, like the train was coming, I made my decision. Mia was obviously very vocal about how she felt, and I feel like she took it. It was tough, and I think at one point Jimmy even like told some of the cast or the crew to like kind of calm her down because she took it outside of the game a little bit and was judging me on like being a microcosm of America. Like that was one of the things that stuck with me. Like I could see from an outside perspective where it looks bad, but that's not where my head was when I was picking them. I was sticking true to the survey I took. Mia, you're the biggest. I told her straight to like I yelled at her. I'm like, you are the biggest competitor here. If my friends have a chance of winning, it's getting you out, and you have an island. You're gonna be fine. And she was the most vocal about it, and that kind of that was eating at me too. And then we get down, they left, and they told us like you guys can't talk to each other while you're eating lunch. So this
Right, we had to be
whole
totally
lunchtime,
silent.
yeah, the whole lunchtime. I know if people wanted to say like check on me because I was like Colton said,
Oh,
I
you're
was
just crying, eating lunch, and I'm like, man, I just like went up to him, pat him on his back. They're like staring at me, like, don't say anything. You can't say anything. We want to get all the strategy on camera. And I'm like, dude, this dude is literally like so broken up right now. Like, I just wanted to like just pick him up and tell him it's okay. But like, I just like just gave him a pat on the back, just like tried to convey how I was feeling through my eyes.
Yeah, I mean,
And then
that's
we had
just like a horrible, tough situation to be put in. And it's like, it pretty much is the trolley problem. And from an outsider's
Mhm.
point of view, the most logical thing to do is take out other people as fast as possible to give yourself and your friends a better chance at moving on. So, like,
right.
I feel like a lot of people are going to understand that. And what they're not going to understand is, like, how emotional you were, Akira. And, with Mia already having $1.8 million in her pocket, it's valid to be mad, but obviously that's going to put a target on your back. So, it is what it is for her.
Yeah.
So then we get off the bus from having lunch. It's actually hilarious. We're in like rural Canada somewhere. I don't know. We drove 2
Yeah.
hours obviously because we had to go somewhere where they could, use the railroad, where they had a like, a split with like little overpass over it. I guess they just needed the perfect spot. So this is 2 hours away from the city. So we're like parked in a neighborhood in random rural Canada. We're getting off the bus, and like a school bus is going by, and they're all like cheering us and like, oh my god, Mr. Beast, like all this stuff. It was really funny. But we're in the neighborhood, we get off the bus, we walk to the train tracks, and then we start walking down to where the set is. And I start strategizing, and I'm like, again, very selfishly, I'm like, I know this was rough on Akira. I asked him, I'm like, hey man, would you be a captain again if people elected you? And he was like, if that's what people want, I'll do it. So I go into game mode again. Kind of selfish of me looking back, but I'm like, hey, I know I'm at the top of this list. I know I'm going to be okay. So I start, going to people and I start campaigning for Akira. I'm like, I know people have a lot of respect for him. I'm like, hey, like, let's vote for Akira. Like, we can trust him. Slipping and sliding all over the place, trying to get people to vote for him again, to be a captain. And so at that point, you start hearing whispers of like, yes, okay, I'll vote for him again, but I don't know where I am on his list. And if they pick from the bottom each time, they've already picked 3 more. So now we're down to his top 18. Now, if we pick 3 more, then we're at the top 15. And I don't know where, if I'm outside of that, if I'm in that 15 to 12 range, I don't think I'm in Akira's top 10. If it was MySpace, he would be not on Akira's top 10. So there was like some rumblings like, okay, I'll vote for Akira this time, but I don't know if I'm gonna vote for him a third time after this. So I'm like, okay, we'll cross that bridge where we get there. So the second time they asked, who wants to be a captain. I don't know if you stepped forward again, Akira, or if you
Yeah,
were voted on.
yeah. So they told us like step off the platform if you want to.
Mm.
So I stepped forward, and then Beth and Queen both did as well.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, my campaigning worked. Akira was elected for a second time, and again, I felt really bad, but I knew like he was. I know Akira's a strong person. I've seen what he can do in the games, his mental fortitude with his physical strength. So I just like had all the trust in the world for him to be able to kind of deal with this scenario. So next, I don't know if it was covered or not. The new car on it, was it covered or was it uncovered at this point?
It was uncovered. It was uncovered.
Okay, so they have a Tesla on the track, and they say, "Okay, Kira, you're gonna pick the next bottom 3 from your list. You keep going with this one, Akira."
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they actually did they do the other side first, the empty side of the track? Do you remember? Or did
No, I want to say that I was after the second
after I
3.
picked? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. So they said, pick your least 3 favorite players, and
but this
part of
time,
part of the reason I went up there was like I just gone through that tough decision, and I was like, I don't want anyone else to have to do this. Like, yeah, it's a little selfish because I'm making the decisions, but that was such a like horrible experience. I didn't want anyone else to go through it. So I'm like, if I have to take the burden on again, I'm willing to. And again, it was also like I can help my friends get through. They said, name your 3 least favorite players. And I again went back to the list. I did 18, 17, 16. And it was Jessica, Eric, and Nelly. I don't
yep.
remember exactly which order. But again, nothing against any of them. I had really good conversations with all of them, but I had other people that I knew better. So they had them come to the tracks, only they put them on the same track as the Tesla. So they were standing in front of it. And then they said, okay, Kira, do you know who you put as your favorite player to win? Like who you want to most win? I was like, yeah, it's 359. They're like, okay, 359. Come to the empty track. So now it was, okay, round 2, Akira. Do you save your best friend in the game and eliminate 3 players in this brand new Tesla you could win? Or do you eliminate your best friend, save these 3 players, and you win the Tesla? And again, it was, for me, it was an easy decision because I felt like I was there to help Colton win. And 3 people getting eliminated gets the numbers down to where we only need 4 more to go. Or,
Right.
yeah, 5
Yeah.
more, 5 more to go. I'm like, I'm getting numbers out.
Yeah.
So obviously they each had their own piece to say, and they were more understandable about it. I think some people that weren't on the tracks tried to vouch for them a little more.
Yes.
I know, like Yessie, she was like, please don't eliminate Jessica. Like she basically was like, she was my corn because after the mental challenge, and I saw Emma and Corn go. Well, I didn't see them go at it, but like after I found out they were the last 2, I was torn up because not only did we were on the helicopter together, but like I'd been with Corn the entire game, so that like there was a part of me that was a little selfish. Like I want to see her walk back through those doors. Like I won't be mad that Emma comes through. No hate to her, but like I want to see Corn walk through those doors. And when she didn't, I was just torn apart.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I know Emma felt really bad, but I told her like I don't hate you. Like it's just unfortunate. That's how it played out. And so yes, he was saying like Jessica is my Corn. Like she's my number one. Please don't take her away from me. And I was like I felt horrible because I had to tune out everyone else and how they felt and be selfish and do what was best for my friends. So I sent the train towards the other three in the Tesla and saved Colton. And I don't regret that decision either.
I was nervous, but I knew that you were gonna save me. But I don't know if they're gonna show this. I immediately knew as soon as that happened. I was like, they're coming for us. They're like, "Do you have any words for Akira?" I'm like, "Thank you, man," but we just put a monstrous target on our back. Did not think about that. Yeah, I felt really bad for those three guys. I gave them a hug. Watching the train hit the Tesla like 15 feet from me was so awesome, though. I will say that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And then he walks us down to the Tesla and pops the trunk and like, "Oh, hey, by the way, there's $100,000 in the
Aw,
trunk that you don't want too." And
that's
you're like, I
very
was
cute.
like, dude, I hate you, Jimmy. Like, you really gotta rub his nose in it. And then I embrace Akira. I'm like, dude, thank you so much. Didn't doubt you for a second. Had to play it up for the camera a little bit, but man, I knew you were gonna save me. So, and then we go to good old round 3. And again, I start my campaign for you as soon as I get back on that platform. But I don't know what was said when I was, up on the chopping block essentially. So I am trying to vouch for you again. And the steam that I kind of built up has kind of dissipated a bit. I'm telling people Akira, and they're like, maybe. All right, well, I'm still sticking. I'm going to different people. I'm like, guys, he's trustworthy. And they're like, okay, easy for you to say. I'm like, shit, okay. So then Akira, you step up to be a leader of captain again, and then good old Bethany. Bethany steps up to the plate again. And I had talked to Bethany a lot. She got sick on the island. When she came back, I checked on her. I would see her sitting alone by herself at times. I would go talk to her, sit with her. She's from Oklahoma. Her family's from Texas. There's like a little rivalry with her family. So like I knew her. There's a couple shots of us on the yacht together, of me like sitting next to her and talking with her. So I don't remember how the votes were split, but it was close.
It
What do you?
was so it was 15 players left. Me and Beth obviously didn't vote, so that left 13 to
13.
vote.
I want
And
to
it
say it was like
was
5-8 or something like that.
yeah, it was because you needed 7 to win, and it
Right.
was 5-6 in favor of Beth. And the two players that didn't decide right away was Mikey and Tawana.
Yeah, and I was like, guys, please. And
And so
I think
they asked us like where we had them in the ranking. And I,
Mm.
honest as I could be, I told Tawana you're 10, told Mikey you're like 12 or 13. And then I think Beth said she was number 8 on her list. Tawana voted that way. I think Mikey went over that way as well. So
mhm.
then Beth was the new captain.
And so then they told Beth to now they specifically did not ask her to pick someone like for you they said, "Hey, pick people from the end of your list." They didn't say that. They said, "Hey, pick someone." So she picked you. And then they're like, "Okay, now you're gonna pick another person." And I remember she had a hard time choosing. I was kind of like, don't pick me, please don't pick me." I was kind of hiding behind like a bunch of people because we're kind of like all bunched up. So she's looking, she can't decide, and Jimmy's like, "Hey guys, come on, spread out." So like I'm like, okay. I step to the side and I look. I'm like, no one stepped with me. And I'm like, and so she's looking, trying to figure out who to pick. And we lock eyes, and she calls my number, and I was like, "Oh no, Beth." And I actually stand on. I think it was her understanding, and it was actually I thought as well that I was going to be on the other track, and it was going to be Akira on one track, and it was going to be me on the other. And they're like, "No, no, you're on the same track as him," and I'm like, "Oh." And so they put a mystery person with us, and I tell Beth straight up, I'm like, Bethany, like, we've been playing this game a long time at this point. That person is you. She's like, well, it could be, someone from the crowd. I'm like, Beth, that that person is 100% you. And they took her number one person, which was Courtney, and put her on the other track. And they start the train, and I'm yelling to her. I'm like, Beth, that other mannequin is you. Please don't do this. Like, you're eliminating yourself. And she kind of just like shrugs it off. I'm like, no. And then I'm watching the timer. I'm screaming to her up at the top, and the clock hit 0. I was really, really hoping that she was going to do it. And that's where our game ended. That is where our game ended.
So
Beth told me
unfortunate.
after the game that she thought I was going to be going against Akira, and that she was going to save me. And I was like, I don't know if that makes me feel better or worse, but yeah, it does make me feel better. No.
Yeah.
um,
And so
but
turns out it was Beth, the mystery person.
it,
Did she
it
like?
was Beth.
How did she react when that happened?
She cried, right?
She was devastated about it. Yeah, she was like, you just lost.
Yeah, and it's like
You
the
got
fact
yourself
that
up, kind of.
y'all were saying like it's you, like it's probably you, and she still did it, and then found
Right.
out it's her. Like that's an awful feeling. I would be so upset. I would be so upset.
Yeah, she saved her friends, so it's not all bad. But we had one final Cinco Millones. We walked down the track arm in arm. I mean, like, hey, if I was to be eliminated, I don't know if I would rather be eliminated in the way that I did, or a way that I had the control in my hands and know I just failed. But I can at least say that nothing that I could have done in that game would have led me to a different point. So my what if list is a lot shorter. I always think, what if before they brought her up, because like in our little contract, I mentioned they made us sign the contract of the rules. They said you could barter with the with the person in control. So I kind of, maybe I wish that I asked her to, hey, take someone else. But that's not really fair to someone else, and I don't know if she could have, would have. But again, I'm glad I went out with Akira. We walked arm in arm, walked down the train tracks. Like, it was a wholesome moment. Obviously, really sad, but I was just so happy for the experience. I think all of us can say this was just such a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I wouldn't trade it. And such an accomplishment to make it tied for 13th place is something.
Oh yeah,
Um,
dude.
so
We were
shouts
so
out
lucky.
Beth.
So
Yeah,
shout
you
out
know,
Beth.
um, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
hate
Yeah.
you, Beth, but I can't talk to you. I'm sorry. No, I'm playing.
Yeah, so like even after the first vote, when I went up again, I was like, you have too much blood on your hands. You have a prize now. You got rid of the person with the biggest prize. You're gonna go at some point. So do what you can to get your friends further. So when Beth got forward, I was like, I'm gonna make it easy on her. And I told her straight up when she had to pick her first person, I said, Beth, there's no hard feelings. I totally understand. Like, I eliminated some of your friends. If you call my name,
Oh, that was right.
yeah, like I said, don't feel bad. I completely get it. And then when Colton went up, I was like, dang it. But then I was like, okay, there's a chance because we're on 2 episode tracks.
Right.
I was gonna tell her, Beth, take me out, save Colton. That's all I asked. And obviously they're like, oh, Colton, go with Akira. And then I
I
was
was
like,
like, no.
no. I was like, all that work I did
Ah,
just to help him,
yeah.
and now he's going down with me because of me. And
And like at that
and
point, did you
I wasn't
know
even like,
that like it was gonna be you guys? Like once you were put on the same.
yeah,
I
show,
knew.
because I was like, no hard feelings. I get it, but there was part of me that like, in the moment, I was just like, I'm not rooting for Mike. Like, I'm not trying to be like, save me, save me. I'm like, just spare Colton. I told her like, that's you under that vest. You're the mystery player. Save Colton. Someone else can get me out. I don't know. So
But she wasn't gonna. She
accepting of
wasn't
the
gonna
fate.
eliminate
Yeah,
her best friend. I
she
mean,
couldn't. Yeah,
we
and I mean,
saw it in the most recent, in the round two. The person who's up
mhm,
there is not gonna eliminate their best friend because that's just the dynamic of it. And because we had already kind of gotten over that hurdle once, I feel like she kind of understood that there wouldn't be a hatred, a vitriol towards her if she chose to save her best friend.
mhm.
And so I knew I was just trying to convince her, like, hey, this person is you. That the mystery person is you. That's all I wanted to try to convey. And whether she was taking a shot, maybe thought it was someone else, but uh,
it is what it
Yeah,
this is what it is.
is.
I think
yeah, and I think. Oh, go ahead, Colton.
I was gonna say one of the funniest parts was we're eliminated. We go into the trailer, and they're the three people. The first group of girls, Mia, Moniz, and Tia, they were gone. But the three people that were just eliminated, Eric and Jessica and Nelly,
Nelly.
we walk in, they're like, and we're like, oh, sorry, guys. And we have to take a 2-hour van ride with all of us in the same
Oh.
van. And one thing I always remember is so funny. I was like so bummed. I just couldn't stop saying like, "Oh my god, no! Oh my god!" At one point, Jessica was like, "Colton, can you please stop?" And I'm like, "No, I can't stop."
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, he was
awkward.
going
Oh my
through it.
god.
It was a little awkward.
Yeah, and
Oh,
But we just reminisced in the back seat. Ate our whatever sandwiches, ketchup chips, reminisced on the good old days, and couldn't wait till we got back to the hotel where Karim and the other three girls were waiting for us. I was like, dude, I went immediately to my room. I was like, I can't do this. I'm too sad.
yeah. And emotions were still like so high after we all got out. So it's like,
Very, very
yeah.
high.
I remember real quick, like when we got out and we all had breakfast the next morning, and I was talking about how Akira. I was explaining to someone in chance, like, you should have saw Akira, like he took out Kareem. And then as I'm telling the story, Kareem walks up to my table, and I was like, I was just talking about you, like telling them about what happened. It was so awkward, but it was so. And he was just like, I get it, like whatever. But yeah, so that brings all of us to the end of our Beast Games journey. Very unfortunate.
yep.
It is what it is. We're all grateful for the experience and making it as far as we did. Actually, crazy to think about.
Yeah,
It really is. I mean, I think we're like all in like the 99th percentile.
Yeah, it's
It's
insane.
it's
Right.
it's definitely it's quite an accomplishment, and I think all of us should be proud. Even though we're not winners, we're winners right here where it
Yeah,
matters.
winners at heart.
Right.
We're winners in friendship.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
so
And after that challenge too, like I talked to everybody except for Moniz and Mia. They wouldn't give me the time of the day, but I talked to the other four and I told them like, you all should be proud of what you did, like the way you went out. Like, I'm sorry that I was the one that took away your dreams, and like I hope like it was not hard, no hard feelings to any of you. You should each be proud of what you did to get this far, and it's just really unfortunate that you didn't get to have control over the way you went home, and then it was left up to someone else. And looking back, some of like the what ifs that people like talk about, one that comes to mind, and this is just because like I'm a game fanatic, so like thinking back, like what would you do differently if you had one thing you'd done differently?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the only thing, like, because up until that point, there were so many instances where like I could have gone home, or like somehow fate just had it that I stayed in, and I started winning challenges, and then when we got to top 21, that's when it hit me like, dang, dude, like you at the beginning didn't think you had a real shot at this because you thought you had a target or whatever. And then you kept telling yourself, believe, believe, believe. You got this far. You actually have a chance at this, genuinely. And it almost felt like I was invincible because I was like, time and time again, I've done something like, how do I get out? What's going to get me out of this game? And then obviously, one thing led to another. And I think if I didn't go up as a captain, that would be the only thing that would like maybe have altered my game. But then again, like if I wasn't on someone's list, I could have still been eliminated either way. So I think it's cool to like look back at it a little bit, but also I wouldn't have changed any of the ways I played. I got my friends as far as I could. And it was kind of full circle for me with the Lambo too. Like I lost a Lamborghini on one of Jimmy's videos. I won one in Beast games. I got some blood on my hands, did some big game moves, got my friends
You got
as
to
far
keep
as
the
I could.
key.
Yeah, I did. And then yeah, I mean I went home feeling like I did everything I could. And ultimately that's how everyone should leave those challenges, is like afterwards. Like take it from a guy who's literally lost $1.8 million in YouTube videos and even the 5 mil. I am probably the biggest loser out of everybody that's been there. So like at the end of it all, you just have to remember that if you did everything you could, no matter what, you should at least be happy with that, because that'll give you some peace of mind at the end of it all. Don't overthink anything you could have done differently. You can always nitpick at those things, but it's going to eat you up if you do. So
Just gotta
always
let 'em
try your
go.
best,
Yeah.
and you move on. There's
Yeah.
always going to be another opportunity down the
Right.
line somewhere.
Very solid
I
advice.
think one thing that these games have taught me is like the money is nice, but it's very enchanting. And I was really, I don't know about you guys, I was kind of low key depressed when I got home. Like just like imagining, like you buy a lottery ticket, and for like 24 hours you think about all the things you're gonna spend it on. But then when you get that close to the 5 million, it becomes real. So you have that 24-hour lottery ticket mindset, but like multiply that for like 3 months. You're constantly, oh, I'm gonna buy a house, I'm gonna like, invest it, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And when you don't get it, it's like, whoa, I already had that money spent. It's like someone stole it from me. Like I was so sad. So, just I don't know, for me personally, it's like, money like that doesn't come to you easy. It comes through hard work. It comes through putting your nose down and joining the machine of life and just working, unfortunately. And I have to work 9 to 5 now, and I'm sad about it.
Yeah. I was really looking forward to not having to work a 9 to 5 anymore in my
Dude,
life.
I was ready to retire. I was ready to retire. I was thinking about the golf clubs that I was going to buy. I had all my whole week set up. Monday, Tuesday, I'll go golfing. Wednesday, I'll do a little yoga. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thursday, Friday, I'll hang out at Turks and Caicos.
It like blows my mind that, someone we know actually won the 5 million. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just crazy.
I'm so excited to watch.
Yeah,
I'm
me
so
too.
excited to see the rest of it. Like, I have no idea. I'm just stoked to see what happens after.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see the rest of the episodes. And like, next episode it cuts down to top 10, and it's like there's going to be heavy focus on all those people. So it's going to be really interesting to see how everyone's portrayed and all the drama that went down before someone won the 5 million. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, so I guess that wraps up this podcast. Thank you guys so much for talking with us. I know it's been like 2 hours, but we're just lost in a conversation. So
Vibing.
So last thing, I'm gonna roll out the red carpet to you guys. If you guys want to shout out any of your social media channels, anything that's coming up, or anything that you just want to share, go for it.
My Instagram is C². Maybe she'll like edit it right here.
Yeah, I will.
C², follow me. I don't do much on Instagram. I'm just a dude. So follow me if you want. I was just here for a good time. I'm here for a good time. Follow me, sure.
Instagram is Akira_Andrews. All other social media is basically just my first name, last name. And then going forward, hopefully I'm gonna apply to a couple more shows. I've been applying to Big Brother and like Survivor every year since I've been eligible. So I'm gonna keep chasing that dream. I don't know what the a future looks like for me in MrBeast related things, but they always keep calling. So if they call me up, keep your eyes peeled, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah.
I need
yep.
that sensei master, and I'll be your little what's it called? Your pupil. And you can teach me the ways in the MrBeast video how to make it all the way.
True.
Yeah, Akira, we need to see you on some other reality shows. I want to see you
Oh,
on the
ab-
challenge personally, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
I
one's
need
a little
to.
harder
See, that's,
to get on.
yeah, you have to do another show before you can get on that.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't think they would pull people straight from these games, but I could be the
It's
first
a good
one. You
stepping
never
stone.
know.
Hey, it's a good stepping stone.
Hey.
You made it far enough. We got facial recognition.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Have you
Yeah.
been recognized at all?
No, not really. But I think
Okay.
it's because when I'm out and about, I move quickly in the shadows. I guess.
Yeah. And you move
Real
in the
G
night.
move in silence, okay?
All right.
Anybody
yeah.
else?
Oh no. I mean, no.
no.
I don't think I even had a line in the show. So
Really? No.
I mean I had like when I won the red ball, all I said was holy shit and oh my god. That's pretty much it. So
Iconic.
yeah. That wraps it up. Thank you so much to everyone that sat down and watched us discuss our experience throughout Beast Games. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing Colton's perspective and Akira's perspective. Please like this video, comment down below who you want to see on the podcast next, and subscribe to our channel. We will see you guys soon. Everyone say peace out.
Bye.
Peace out.
Peace to the Middle East, go planet. Oh.